Hey, welcome back to our podcast, your go-to source for all things real estate and lifestyle in the heart of Fort Worth, Texas. I'm Jackson Christian Berry.
And I'm Jean Kristen Berry.
And together, we're here to guide you through the vibrant world of Fort Worth and surrounding suburb living.
We believe in creating a community where everyone feels at home. And that's why we're committed to bringing you honest, expert advice in a fun and friendly way. From the bustling streets of downtown to the serene suburbs, we've got the scoop on what makes each area unique.
Each week, we'll dive into the latest market trends, offer tips for both buyers and sellers, and share insider knowledge to help you make informed decisions. So whether you're a first-time home buyer, a seasoned investor, or just curious about some of the Fort Worth charming neighborhoods, you're in the right place. Let's jump into today's episode. Well, hey y'all, and welcome back to Welcome Home Fort Worth. Really excited you joined us this week, and especially excited today. We're talking about, whether it's your first time or your first time in a long time, we're talking about how to sell your house. And just particularly, we want to approach this is if you're somebody who's thinking about doing that right now, here are some things we might tell you about the market that we're in. Here's some things we might advise you about. And here's kind of the way that it would look like that, and just really a refresher course on what all it's going to take to get your home sold from now when you're just thinking about it to actually being at the closing table signing on that document. So let's do it.
So we're going to walk you through the process a little bit. And the first thing that you want to do is have a consultation. You want to do an initial consultation.
With a realtor.
With a real estate agent, somebody that you trust. If you're going to interview, go ahead and get that done. Pick who you're going to work with. And then during that consultation, you're going to go over what you're trying to accomplish. You're going to talk about your timelines. You're going to talk about pricing, walking through the house and finding out what things need to be addressed, staged, packed up, decluttered, repaired, all those kinds of things.
Yeah, there's a lot to it.
Yeah, so there's a lot that goes into an initial consultation, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a ton, and it's just and especially picking an agent, like just how you go about doing that. We'll do a whole episode on that next month, I'm sure, because there's just a lot that goes into figuring that out and figuring out who you want to work with and who you can trust. We believe that trust is the main thing. You got to find somebody you can trust. You got to find somebody that you can really have working on your behalf.
Correct.
And so make sure you get the good feels with them. Make sure you, get what. It doesn't have to be like connect personally necessarily, right? But at least connect on this person's got my back. So
and brings the expertise to the table to do what you want to do.
Yeah, and knows what's going on in the market. Knows what's happening in your neighborhood. Knows what's happening, so that can advise you and kind of see things coming down the pipe if there's anything coming down the pipe.
Absolutely. So that's the first thing.
It's a consultation. So so once you have that consultation, you've picked the realtor.
And the timing of the consultation, we recommend don't wait till you're about ready to go on the market.
Yeah, good point.
I would say do it 6 months before, at least 3 months before.
Well, a lot of times,
even a year.
Yeah, a lot of times the realtor can save you some work too.
Yeah.
You in your head may think that you have to do extra things that you don't have to do. Sometimes they'll add work to your plate because you may think I don't have to do that, and it's like actually this judging from what we're seeing in the neighborhood, this could, if you were to do this thing, whatever it is, that might actually net you a bigger profit depending on what it is. So
So schedule your initial consultation.
Yes.
First thing.
Yep. So you pick your realtor. So you have picked your realtor. You have your go team. We're headed off. We're going to start preparing your home and getting your home ready to sell. And so this is you're going to declutter. For our listings, we never do pictures of the garage unless it's just like a stunner or something like epoxy floors and just whatever. There's something interesting about it that we want to make sure we notice. But usually we're not going to take pictures of the garage. And so we're going to just advise you to start moving the clutter. If you can't declutter, at least move it into the garage. And so that way the home can be more ready for showings when you get there.
Yep. Go through, do the thing that they always recommend, what you're going to pack, what you're going to throw, what you're going to give.
Yep.
Do your piles. And get
whatever your process is for going through your stuff, however you go about doing that. And then it's going to be getting, if you've got any repairs that need to be done, it's going to be kind of starting that task list and get that knocked out. Whether that means calling somebody to do those things or actually doing them yourself, whatever that looks like.
And hopefully your agent, the agent that you pick has the resources to help you with that.
Yeah.
Because you want to have trusted plumbers and trusted electricians and flooring people and landscapers. So.
People who you just it saves you the time of having to read through their Google reviews.
Right.
Not that you can't do that if you want to, but the realtor usually has a lot of experience with them, with that particular vendor. So
Yeah, and accountability. The vendor sometimes has accountability to the real estate agent because they do a lot of business for them.
Yeah, and then we'll talk staging. You know, if staging is right for your home, if it is, we want to make sure we get it staged well. And we have a stager who really does a lot of this with us. And so she'll kind of give some advice on what she would recommend for rooms or ways to make it look pretty, or she has, you know, materials herself that she can do as well.
Yep. So, I mean, that all increases the amount of money that's going to go in your pocket.
Yeah, and that's the goal. The whole goal is let's get this thing ready, pretty, and feeling good so that when buyers come in, they're like, oh my gosh, I love this thing.
They fall in love and pay the money that you want them to pay for your property, and they get it done quickly.
Yeah, and we get to closing. They make it all the way to closing.
Make it all
exactly.
the way. So speaking of getting the money that you want, so as you're working through this process, we're going to be, as a real estate agent, going to be pulling comparable sales and figuring out what's the best price to price you at. A lot of that depends on your amenities of your property. It's going to depend on your neighborhood.
Yeah.
There's a lot of factors that go into figuring out the price and how you compare. So an agent's going to run those for you. And even if you do your initial consultation even 6 months or a year before you're ready to go, then you're going to get a ballpark number at that stage of the game. But then they'll reevaluate before you're really ready to get on the market.
Yep. But we're going to price it. We're going to price it right. We're going to get real clear on how we want to price the home. And so we're ready to go. And the marketing plan that's going to go alongside that as well. And we're going to talk about market trends. We're going to talk about things that we're going to get you up to speed basically on what's happening in the market so that you can kind of be aware and make a educated decision for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, the more information you have, then the better you'll know how to approach the market.
Yep.
We use professional photography as we are going to be marketing it.
Yes, you are online.
Yeah.
People shop
That's
online
where
now.
people find it.
Yeah,
Yep.
they will do drive-by is second now. Used to is drive-by were kind of first. Now they're going to look at your pictures. And so you've got to make sure that those are squared away.
Yeah, we're wanting to attract buyers to the photos online. Then from online, we want to attract them to the property.
Exactly.
And then from the property, we want to attract them to an offer.
Yes, exactly.
So that's kind of the process we're working on.
Yep.
And that may be that we want to show how close you are to, like, for example, the Magnolia area.
Sure.
If you live close to there, we want to show that there's walking distance from your house to there. We do aerial photographs as well.
To highlight the area if there are features like that.
Close to the lake.
HOAs that have, you know, pools and common areas. We always highlight those. Golf courses, we do that as well.
Yep.
Anything about the area that we want to highlight, we'll make sure to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then that also helps us with having content for social media, for posting, for attracting all of the social media traffic.
Yeah, and then there's a whole, like when it comes to marketing, right? Like a lot of agents do it very, and just about every agent's going to they're going to put your house on MLS, right? That's kind of an expectation of what an agent should do, right?
Right.
So we're not going to, that is the bare minimum of our job requirement, right? So we're not going to say that that's like cutting edge or standard or anything.
That's not exciting.
You shouldn't, like, that's just what should happen. We're not going to, that's not blowing expectations, right? So, you know, the marketing, you know, that your agent does is different per agent. Every agent does a little bit, things different. For us, we have kind of an integrated marketing approach. We really do traditional mediums, we do digital mediums, we do social media, we use a lot of different mediums to make sure that we get the word out about your property and we get the buzz going and that we get people aware of it. Obviously, part of that is MLS for sure, and a lot of people do mainly shop on MLS or they shop on Zillow, which pulls from the MLS, right? Kind of those third-party sources. So a lot of that is there, but there are a bunch of other ways that we can market your home, get awareness out about your home, because what we're trying to do is get in front of buyers. Right. We want buyers to know, hey, this home exists. Wow, this home might work for us. And so all of the photography, the way we stage the home, the decluttering, all of this kind of culminates in the presenting it to buyers and saying, hey, come see me. You know.
Yeah, it's your marketing launch.
Yep.
And along with that launch is we're trying to create a buzz and create some FOMO with these buyers.
Yep.
So we do open houses.
Yep.
Now, open houses don't traditionally sell a property. It's like with the percentage of people that walk into an open house and buy that exact same property, it's not very big.
Yeah, I think it's like in the single digits.
Like single digits
percent.
Yeah.
So
it's not that, but they may buy another property that you turn them on to as well. And they also are going to be, the marketing that comes from an open house is going to be creating more buzz.
It's
more marketing.
It's an excuse to say, look at
this
me.
house.
Like it's just another reason that we can say it's an event, right? So I have the chance to say, come see the event, come see this house. So it's a chance to show off all that kind of stuff. And not everybody does open houses too, right? True. I mean, just for what you just said.
Yeah, there's other ways.
So there are a lot of ways to do that. We believe in open houses. We are a very open house, centered team. We do a lot of them. We have a lot of people that we meet at those open houses, and we get lots of good feedback. That's really nice about open houses.
Yep.
You kind of consolidate a lot of showings that were going to happen, throughout the weekend into that one consolidated time. Get a lot of good feedback, a lot of good interest, and so it's really helpful.
And we get the mindset of the buyers at the moment.
Big time. Oh my gosh,
so
yes.
we really get to take a pulse on that.
Yeah, it's so helpful.
And we can do something besides physical open houses. We actually can do online open houses.
Yeah, you totally can.
Online events where you are able to come and take a look at the videos.
Yeah, and that's dependent on, really, open houses are more about your schedule. That's really, if you are somebody who can allot 2 to 4 hours, on a Saturday or Sunday, depending on your time, on your schedule.
Yeah.
If that works for you, we want to make sure we do something like that.
And along with that, we also have some listings that the sellers want us to bring an extra service to the table, which is private showings, which is where it's agent-assisted showings, where the listing agent is there along with maybe the buyer's agent and the buyers and really walking through the specifics of all the amenities.
Yeah, and those are especially great for luxury properties.
Yeah, with a lot of amenities.
Properties that have amenities where it's like you would walk into the room and you would miss like some of my most common is like heated towel racks, right?
Yeah.
Like you want somebody to walk in and be able to say, look at this, and over here you have blah, blah, blah. And the average buyer agent who just saw your property on MLS is not going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So
the listing agent usually has more of that information.
Yeah.
So those are that's the marketing of the process, right?
Yeah.
There.
So and there's a lot of different ways to approach that. We do we go big and bad because we need to. They did big and beyond. And so
the marketing brings in
offers. That is the goal. And we track all of these indicators of how your property is performing on the market. And we are after offers. Offers we want for you.
That's the target.
So that you have actual in your hand, I can sell my house for this offer, right?
Hey everyone, real quick before we get back to the show, if you're on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, we'd love to connect with you. We post a lot of content like this in case you miss an episode, along with more Fort Worth and surrounding suburb, local insights, and finds. You can find our team at the Christenberry Group on all social platforms, or you can connect with Jackson and I personally on our Facebook and our Instagram accounts. Just be prepared for lots of pictures of my grandson on either account. Now back to the show.
And so when we do that, what we want to do is first get the offer, right? So we're going to receive that. Your agent will usually do that on your behalf. They'll send it to your agent. And then your agent is legally required, okay? I'm saying this because some agents actually still don't do this, which is just like outlandish and suable, first off. Legally required to present every offer to you unless you have literally signed something that says, I do not want them to present every single thing to me. Like, unless you have legally given them authority to not do that. You need to see every single offer that comes in, even if it's lowball, even if it's an investor offer and you aren't wanting to consider investor offers or whatever. You need to be able to see every single thing you can because it's really important that you know what's actually happening with your home sale.
Right. Yep. And when those offers come in the door, ideally the listing agent is going to want to contact the buyer's agent and find out, is there wiggle room? How serious are they? Are they pre-approved? Is this that agent's lender they're working with? Just to we've got a list of questions that we always ask when we do that.
Yeah.
So just to kind of take a good pulse before we do any kind of countering or any kind of accepting of an offer.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, we vet the offer is kind of how you think of it. We vet it. We make sure that we learn everything there is to learn about it before we actually send it to you and get it ready to go. But we'll notify you about the offer. We'll let you know, hey, we did get an offer and that kind of stuff. So, so we got your offer in. We've reviewed it. We've kind of talked to you through. We do net sheets with our clients, and so we actually show them, hey, even though this offer has a higher maybe offer price based on the terms, you actually don't net as much as this other price over here. So we help you know based on how much you're going to net what this looks like. And we'll also talk to you about the process, right? So if it's a cash offer, you may not have to deal with an appraisal.
Right.
Versus a conventional financing or FHA financing, you may have to deal with an appraisal and getting through that part of the process. And FHAs and VAs also have other, outlines or requirements for those loans. And so we want to make sure that that's going to be something we have to deal with them in the transaction.
We go over the pros and the cons
Yep.
of each of the offers and of any offer that comes in the door. And then talk to you about these are the things that you can push back on. These are the things that you could counter. These are the terms you might want to change.
Yep.
And just work through it like that with you. And we usually recommend at that point making sure that you can follow the process. Like if you have oil and gas leases that need to be disclosed and things like that. Just keep you protected from any kind of lawsuits or anything.
Yeah, and we use a whole seller's disclosure service to really help with that.
Yeah.
It's a seller shield is what's called, and it really helps folks make sure that they're protected when they're writing the seller's disclosure, which is really helpful for our folks.
Yeah, we're working not only to get you the best numbers and make sure that the offer goes to the closing table, but also to protect your interests because it's still legally binding contract.
Yes, it's a thing. So, and then let's just talk through. You've accepted an offer. You picked the one you want. Super exciting. We've notified the buyer. You guys have both signed the contract, and so you're ready to get going. It kicks off the transaction really at that point, and so the transaction begins. And so we start working. First thing, you normally the average sale that we deal with. Usually, you have an option period that's going to have an inspection done during that time, and then during the option period, usually when we do some kind of negotiation, if there's negotiation to be done with the buyer will usually request some kind of repair or some kind of money in lieu of repair. Usually, if they're going to, which hopefully they don't, right? Because hopefully your home is not is perfect. Every inspection is going to find something, but not everything is worth being asked about or that kind of thing. So we will help you temper that when you receive those asks. We'll help you understand kind of what is normal and if the buyer is being normal for what we see, or if the buyer is being a little doing too much than what they should do, asking for too much or asking for things that don't make sense, So we'll help you kind of temper that and have an awareness.
And we've seen enough repairs and we've seen enough invoices and estimates that we have a pretty good range of what something's going to cost. So we can help you estimate.
And if we don't, we can usually get, as long as we have time with the option period, we can usually get one of our many vendors that we have to go out and check it out, making sure, hey, and sometimes I'll just send our handyman a text and it's like, hey, we gotta, obviously you don't have time to come to the property. Instead, here's what this looks like. What do you think? How much would this cost? And they'll give us kind of, quick eye estimates.
Absolutely.
So that's inspection. Negotiations are kind of step one. Then you kind of move into meeting appraisal. That's kind of the next big thing that happens along the way. So we want to make sure we meet appraisal.
And appraisals are paid for by the buyer.
Yep.
And it's ordered by the lender.
Yep.
And we have no control over them.
Yeah.
So we don't have control over the final number that comes through. Typically, we would have told you ahead of time if it was a risky kind of a price or if it was a on target kind of a price.
Yeah, and the risk is just like maybe they gave you $20K more than list or something, and we say, hey, based on comps, an appraiser may not go all the way up to that $20K.
Yeah.
So there might be this gap that happens between the appraisal saying, hey, this home's only worth like $400K, but they offered $415, right? So there's $15K gap there. And that's got to be covered by somebody, which means negotiations. And so that's either the buyer's going to cover the full, they're going to ask you to cover the full as a seller, or you guys are going to meet in the middle somewhere to stay in the deal, or the deal is over and we go find another buyer. So,
and we explain all that when the offer is presented.
Yeah.
We like to make sure we go through and let you know what are the places where you've got a kind of a little hurdle that you want to be able to get over. And the farther you go in the process from contract to closing, then the farther you go down across these hurdles, then the less likelihood that the offer is going to fall out or not make it to closing.
Yeah. It's a percentage thing for sure.
Yeah.
So, it goes down every step. But once you're through the appraisal, very few things fall through at that point. It is still possible. There is still a chance, but very few things will at that point.
Those are the big hurdles.
Those are the big ones.
The last hurdle is just getting the buyer's loan out of underwriting, or if it's cash, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
So
in cash, you probably don't have to worry about appraisal too, by the way.
Right.
Which is why cash offers are nice, as long as they're within the other conventional ones you're getting. So, but then
So pretty much we're just waiting on paperwork to get to the title company.
Yep.
And that usually happens a day or two before the closing. And then the title company will prepare a settlement sheet.
Yep.
It's got all of the costs and all of the credits. And you got your final numbers.
Yeah, and we're for what it's worth, we are summarizing a lot of this. There are a lot of things that happen on the back end here that do have to happen to close a transaction appropriately and legally, binding and making sure it's all right. And so that all is happening as well. That's just not something that you're going to think about.
Right.
Like you're going to remember the inspection, you're going to remember the appraisal. Like those are things you're going to remember. You're not going to remember the one little document over here that you signed that authorized, this other. So we're kind of giving you the big points that we think you're going to remember.
Give you the high view here.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the deal is that when you're finishing up the process or you're getting to the end, it's really important too that you have your agent who is kind of like a project manager.
Mm-hmm.
So you can think of an agent as a project manager. So the agent is on top of all that and knows how the flow is going.
Yep.
And then can tell you if there's going to be a potential hitch coming down the road.
Yep.
So that's always our deal, is try to stop any surprises so that things are really good.
Yep. And then we're closing.
Closing table.
Closing
Signing in
time.
the papers.
Probably just got like YouTube like ripped it off because I just sang that. You know?
Oh.
That's right. Yeah, you're closing. And so closing, you're just signing. The nice part being the seller, you usually have a lot thinner stack than you did as the buyer. Yeah. There's less mortgage documents in there usually. And you're done. I mean, you did it. If there's a seller's leaseback that was negotiated during that time, we'll obviously make sure that we follow the rules of that leaseback and the timelines. But yeah, it's moving time. Hopefully you've already moved, really. We're waiting for funding.
Right.
It's kind of the only thing we're waiting for.
Waiting for that wire. And the thing that a lot of sellers ask is, I'm not going to close with the buyer. Yeah. I'm not going to sign at the same time with them. So just to put that out there, you sign at separate times.
And congrats, because that'd be so weird.
Yeah, it is.
If that was required, like with all the negotiation stuff that happens throughout the thing, it's like.
It could be.
Yeah.
Then we've had people that have been best friends.
I was just thinking, like, oh my gosh, we had the craziest. If they're watching, we love y'all. The buyers and sellers usually are kind of at each other's throats in transactions, or they're like, or it's like the Cold War where there's tension, but nobody really is like saying anything. Y'all, like, we just did a transaction where they became best friends. The seller and the buyer met. And you never know how it's gonna go, and they're best friends, and it's like, what? That's crazy.
Still hang out together.
Best friends. Still like they've bonded for life. It's like it's real estate's funny sometimes.
But you don't usually close with your buyer.
You will not usually do that.
So it's usually separate, and then we're just waiting on the wire to come from the lender, or for the cash to come that's wired. From
the other question that I think we get here a lot of times is, do I have to go to the title office to sign? I think we get that a lot. It depends on your title company. Usually as a seller, you do pick the title company. And so the title company, it's dependent per title company. Our experience is usually it's either, they don't do it as much. They definitely did it during COVID just to allow for that kind of that. Not as much anymore, but I think that you can still do mobile notaries. Usually it's about $150 charge, I believe.
Yep. And they can come to your work or to your house.
Wherever you are to do that for you. So
that's available.
It's an option as well.
Yep. So
but you closed. You did it.
That's the deal. And then we hand over the keys. At that point, we would have already gone over all the details about how to leave the house, the things that stay, the things that go. That's a whole nother podcast. So.
Yeah, just making sure that you abide the contract that you said. If you said you were going to take things, take those things. If you said you were going to leave things, leave those things. Yeah,
and just leave it kind of clean, like you'd want to have it when you moved into it.
Yes, yeah. That's interesting. Okay, so this is something that I don't know, actually. Is that I don't believe that's in the contract. That's more of a formality, correct?
Right.
Yeah,
some agents will write in, property must be broom swept, clean, and trash.
Then it's in the contract. You got to do it. That's for sure. Yeah. But a lot of times that's more of a format. It's more of a manners thing. Is my experience with that. So that's interesting. Yep. But then y'all, it's done. You've sold your home. Congrats.
The movers are coming.
Movers, you've moved. You're on.
You're out turning off utilities. And your taxes are going to be paid by the title company, or the buyer will pay them at the end of the year, so you won't get a tax bill. So that's pretty much it.
Yep.
And then you're done, and then we're going to be calling to congratulate you and just kind of keep up with you. Yeah,
and then for the way we do, not every agent does this, but the way we do our team is once you're in for life, y'all. And so once you have closed with us, done a transaction with us. We are going to make sure that you know the value of your home for the rest of your days. We're going to make sure that you are checked in on, making sure you have what you need.
Have the vendors you might need.
We'll connect you with vendors. We'll be a resource for you while you own that home, so that we make sure that you are covered and you have what you need. So that's kind of phase 2 that happens after that. But that's you closed. So congrats, you did it. That's how you sell your home, or that's how you sell it. So whether you're a first time home seller, which is super fun to work with, we love working with first time sellers, or you're a first time. Or the first time in a long time, right? Like you sold 15 years ago. Market's very different, y'all. So we'd love to tell you about that if you haven't already seen our podcast about that. So, but yeah, that's it.
So there you go. That's our selling process for our sellers and how we handle it and what you can expect so that you're not surprised.
Yep. Hope it's helpful for y'all.
Yep. Give us a call if you need us.
Hey, thank you so much for watching the podcast today. If this has been valuable for you at all, we sure could use your help getting the word out to more people. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, go ahead and give us a follow and consider taking just maybe 2 minutes to leave us a review. Both do wonders for our show with the algorithm, and on both platforms, all you gotta do, head over to our show page. On Spotify, hit the 3 dots and select rate. And on Apple, all you gotta do is just scroll down to the show and say leave a review. So just click that. If you're seeing this on Facebook or Instagram, a like or comment puts all the good vibes out in the algorithm for us. And on YouTube, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can be notified whenever we post a new episode. Join us again next week for more Fort Worth housing news and updates. Until then, y'all have a great week.